Climate change is one of the most pressing issues in the world today, and it is imperative that immediate action are taken to mitigate some of its effects. It is safe to say that one crucial aspect of this effort is mobilizing the youths to become climate leaders and change makers, because young people are not only the most affected, but also the most energetic, innovative, and passionate about creating a sustainable future. By empowering young people to take ownership of the climate crisis, the world can unlock their creativity, enthusiasm, and determination to create a better environment. Joining us to discuss this pressing issue bedeviling the world are climate change advocates Xavier Iwueze and Naomi Bamgbose. I want to say thank you very much. All right, so you're Xavier and you're Naomi. So let's get it started. And I would like to first start off by asking, how did your journey to advocacy for climate change start? Let's start with you, Naomi. Okay.
I'm actually into gender gap.
Okay.
Bridging the gender gap in STEM.
Okay, bridging the gender gap. Okay, so if we were to actually get into that, we just spoke about gender-based violence in our last interview, and if we're trying to probably continue on that particular theme, and if you're following the interview, how do we, because gender crimes happen every day, and some people have become so used to it that they do not even know that they are perpetrating these crimes, and hence advocacy is needed at several levels, at several parallels. Yeah. Talk to us about this.
So my own journey into the world of coding and development started during the COVID-19, and at this time I was just 15, which was during 2021. Okay. I started attending hackathons, and hackathons are events where you're given 24 to 72 hours to build a theme-based project. And during this time, I noticed that my team were mostly male-dominated. I was in a male-dominated field, and I usually attended hackathons at that point. And there was a particular hackathon I wanted to go for, which is an all-female hackathon. And my friend, which is now my co-founder, and we noticed that till this hackathon closed, we didn't find any other girls to join our team, which was not a really good thing for us. And it made us start brainstorming, what could we do to actually solve this, which was what made us bring about the Girls Techie. So the Girls Techie is the name of my initiative. We're a non-for-profit, all-female student-run organization aimed at empowering, connecting, and inspiring the next generation of young girls to pursue their passion in STEM fields.
All right, so Xavier, if I may come in, what is the Ashoka Young Changemakers program? What is the main objective here? That's a specific, both of you are wearing the logo, as it were. So,
okay. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'd say Ashoka, first of all, is a network. It's a platform and a movement, right? It's a movement that is bringing together people with ideas to solve global issues. And so when we talk about the Ashoka Young Changemakers Network specifically, we're talking about young people who have innovative ideas, who are passionate, and who are concerned about specific issues they've identified within their community, in society at large, at the global level, at the state level, national level, and they are passionate and taking action already. And so Ashoka recognizes their, the potentials that they have, and with the intention to build those potentials, the Ashoka Young Changemakers platform provides mentorship, provides visibility and guidance on how to improve and refine the ideas that they have and help them channel their energies rightly. Yes.
All right, Naomi, permit me to find out from you, because certainly you're part of this Ashoka Africa network, and it's all about change making, and it's all about inspiring not just your peers, but even the people that are coming behind you. And how much support have you been given to be able to achieve your goal? Because you've just mentioned that you're one of those that is actually coming from the STEM environment. And a lot of people are saying that that's the future, and that is where the opportunities are. Marry it for us, so to speak.
So, on my view on this particular thing is, I have a lot of support. at the beginning, people don't get to know that, okay, this is what you're doing. But trust me, when people see what you're doing, the world recognizes good things. The world recognizes positive things. And at this stage where we are, at this point where we are going in this world, technology is crucial.
Yes, it is.
Technology is important, and that's the environment. And we went back, okay, what exactly is the cause of this? And we noticed that this all boils down to how we think, how we reason things, how we know that, okay, this is how things are going, this is how things are. And we said, okay, why don't we go back to the roots? Why don't we go back to educating these girls, to changing the mindset, changing how an individual thinks, changing what exactly happens? Because we notice that a lot of things are actually happening in society. Let's move away from the gender gap space. Things are happening in general still goes down to how people think, how people see themselves. So that is exactly how we see things. And when people see what we are doing, people are always ready to support. People are always ready to push us forward. So I think that's it.
All right, Xavier, if I may be specific, Naomi talks about gender-based issues, but you can also reflect on climate issues, as it were. So in the course of your mentorship regarding your group, what has been the response regarding, the youth being involved in mobilization, in being passionate about effecting change as it relates to climatic situations? We remember Greta Thunberg, the famed conservationist, every now and then, although she's been lashed every now and then by former President Trump, as it were. But anyway, in that kind of scenario, how have you been inspired to, take up that kind of advocacy?
Okay, so for me, climate change became a concern based on the awareness I got. I always thought climate change was for those people living where Greta was. I always felt like it was a foreign idea, it was a foreign problem. But after attending a conference in 2020, and the speaker was saying things that I could relate with. I was also experiencing flooding. I was also experiencing, I was, being affected by low quality of air. I was being affected by so many things that she pointed out that were impacts of climate change. I was like, okay, so I'm impacted as well. And I noticed that within my school space, nobody was thinking in that light. Everybody probably had the same mentality that I had before I had that knowledge. And I said, this has to change. How can I, make information around environment-related issues, even beyond just climate change on its own, from sustainability to conservation issues? How can I bring this knowledge to, how can I make it more accessible within the school system? Because, anything that happens to the environment happens to us as people. But as sometimes we grow up or we have this mentality that the environment is separate from us, we are a little disconnected from the environment as people. And so I wanted to bring that idea back to people. I wanted to have, create like a mindset shift around it, that whatever happens to your environment is going to affect you, it's going to affect your future, it's going to affect your education, your goals, your dreams are affected. You can't realize your dream if there is no earth, right? And so I wanted to change that. I started out by educating in my own secondary school, because I just finished, I just had like my graduation as of the time when I attended that conference. And I went back to my secondary school and I told my principal, I want to say something to the students. I learned about this and I want to share this knowledge that I've received. And he wasn't even so sure what I wanted to say. He was like, go ahead, And so I went back to my secondary school. I spoke to the students and I noticed that many of them could relate to the way that I explained this thing. So I expanded to several other schools within my community in Amuodofin. And then going forward, I started organizing cleanup events. I had rural impact projects. And then, I was shocked at how much young people came out. At the first time I started, we had 26 people join me, to organize a cleanup in my community in Festac. And these were young people who sometimes, will be termed as lazy or, not so serious about life. But they wanted a change when they understood. So I could see that in mobilizing young people, the education is important. When they are aware, they will own that awareness, they will own their concerns and begin to take actions around it. And from there, what seemed like one person's idea becomes a movement, becomes it spurs ripple effects of change all around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just now, maybe as we try to wrap it up, I'm quite impressed, I must actually say, with both of you, because the lazy narrative that is actually out there, and some people actually put it out there, is that the coming generation are almost doomed because of the way some people go about expressing their views on social media about the way they see life and the perspective or the prism in which they actually see life. But getting to hear from you, it's quite impressive. And as I try to wrap it up, speaking about social media, because usually a lot of peers are very, very savvy on social media, and the perspective towards life is a little bit skewed. And kudos to Ashoka Africa for actually bringing up the next change makers. But how is it? I'm sure you have friends that probably are tilting this way. My own question to you is, how do you inspire enough people to get to see life completely different from what is within the circumference of your phone, and that other things really do matter, that really do affect our life, like you were saying?
Okay, so I would say social media has the biggest effect on our generation.
Yes.
Which is the reason why a lot of the things are presented in a negative way. We see social media as a negative thing. And I would say one way in which my organization does this is by bringing women who have worked in that line, who have made it in that line, to inspire them. Because we see a lot of people do not have access to seeing people in this particular way. Sylvia said at the beginning that it was somebody who told her and she heard it. The generation in which we are now, they just want to see somebody who's actually doing that thing. But we are not having role models in that field. We are not having people who are going into that thing.
Enough role models.
We are not having enough role models, which is the problem. Which is the reason why we are bringing other people, the few role models we have, so that us can become better role models for the younger generation. We are in the Gen Z space, so that means if the Gen Zs can actually do better things, then the Gen Alpha would have more role models. But it's not been easy. And the social media is something that we see, okay, for example, during the NSAS time, imagine the amount of youth coming out to protest. Imagine if those are same amount of youth come out to protest for climate change, to protest for gender gap. Imagine how inspiring and powerful that's going to be. So we just have to do what we do best, bringing out more role models for other young people, for the younger generation, for the other people to see that, okay, this is happening, this can be good, this can be better, this is how we are going to go about it, and this is how we are going to make our future a better place for us.
Indeed, it might sound like a drop in the ocean, but the ripple effect will virtually
splash.
spread.
Yeah.
All right, Saviour Iwueze and Naomi Bamgbose, both of the Ashoka Young Changemakers program for Africa, would like to thank you for joining us on Newsdesk. Good to have you with us.